Hello, welcome everybody. This is Arjun from Everclear. This is the first community call of the year, so welcome. Super exciting. We have a lot of really awesome updates for you today. I'm going to kick things off by handing things over to Andrew from the Everclear Foundation, who is going to give an update on how the Everclear mainnet beta has been progressing.
Thanks, Arjun. So last time we spoke, our protocol has gone from strength to strength. We're really happy with mainnet beta performance so far, and each month we've seen an improvement in both our settlement times and improvement in our fees. So we've spent a lot of time proving that our protocol is very robust and can handle scale, which we've proven over the last couple of months. And now we're going to be ramping up volume aggressively. So let me take you through the improvements we've seen. So we've seen a reduction in fees by 85% since we launched back in September. And now we're seeing it a average fee of 0.37 bips, which is extremely low compared to the plus 2 bips when we launched back in September. And this is largely due to us seeing a higher percentage of intents that are netted on the protocol. And also we've been basically optimizing our protocol to reduce fees internally as well. So in addition to that, we've seen a reduction by 75% in settlement time. So with this, the median settlement time for an intent on Everclear is now 29 minutes in February, which is down from 2 hours at launch, which is fantastic. And this is largely due to our increased volumes, which has seen more netting, which means that basically the intents are settling in the first epoch rather than being invoiced, which leads to faster settlement. And also we've been working very closely with our market makers to ensure that they're filling orders within the SLAs. And of course, that happens only if the intent is not netted. We have also introduced a liquidity provider of last resort. So we've actually introduced our own market maker bot, which is called Mark. And basically, this has also helped to improve our settlement times. So in the instance where either an intent is not netted internally or filled by a market maker, we have a plan B, which is we use our own internal solver called Mark to go and fill those intents. And so far, we've launched an MVP. It's only operational on 2 origin chains, so Ethereum mainnet and Binance Smart Chain. And it's currently only filling orders that are quite small, so less than $10,000. And the reason we rolled this out is we realized that there could be occasions where we need some redundancy. So we've put this in place. And what it's allowed us to do is really bring down those settlement times to under 30 minutes. And it's been very effective so far on those 2 chains. So the next step for Mark is we're going to open source the code for Mark in the coming weeks. And the reason we want to do this is we want to allow anyone to become a market maker on Everclear and go and solve invoices for us. I think this will really help our ecosystem and start to create a flywheel effect where our community can actually get involved. So Mark V1 coming soon as well. So right now, like I said, it's restricted to just 2 destination chains for the rebalancer. And we're going to open it up to all our destination chains, which we've increased dramatically, which you'll hear about very soon. And we're going to also increase the intent size that it can fill, and then do some internal tweaks to make sure it's operating as efficiently as possible. So if anyone else decides to pick up Mark and use it for themselves, they've got a very robust market making protocol bot to use. So now I'll hand back to Matt.
Andrew, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. So I know that one of the big things that the community has been asking about is the status of the clear migration. I know that anytime you go through a token migration, that can be like a really long process, but really happy to share some encouraging updates. So as you guys likely already know, all positions of Next on L2s were automatically migrated, easing that transition process for individuals. And we also successfully launched Clear Tokenomics, which we'll touch on in a bit here. For L1 migration, that process is manual. So if you do happen to hold Next on Ethereum mainnet, you will need to visit the Everclear website where we have a migration UI where you can migrate from Next over to Clear. It's also important to note that if for any reason you do need to move back into the next position, this migration is reversible for the time being. A lot of community members have been asking about CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, and other major data sources, just because right now there's a couple of pages live. We have both the Next and Clear pages. Happy to report that we're working closely with those teams, and over the next handful of days, we anticipate that those pages will be consolidated and fully updated. We're also working on the authentication of the circulating supply so that you get that verified check mark when you look at those pages. So, more to come on that. And then the final piece is that really happy to report that the vast majority of centralized exchanges have now migrated the Next to Clear tokens, and we're waiting on a couple of ones that are still in progress, but that has largely been complete. And then, as a quick milestone update by way of the new tokenomics, we're happy to share that since the time it was introduced, we've already had 10 million clear staked, and that number is continuing to grow. So, if you have any questions about the migration or the tokenomics in general, feel free to jump over to everclear.org/blog, where you can find the latest guides on the migration, how to participate in the tokenomics, as well as voting, and how the VB Clear mechanism works. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hand things back over to Arjun to share what's to come for Everclear as we enter into the next stage of the beta.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. So you may have seen this on Twitter already. We announced something called Ever Expansion, which is the next phase of the beta program that we're running for mainnet. Ever Expansion is our move to kind of like bring Everclear to everywhere that we can, everywhere that like there are solvers and intent protocols that need liquidity. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we'd gotten earlier on when in the last quarter was like from intent protocols we were working with, was that even though we were providing the best possible pricing, Everclear was still only available on a small handful of chains. And this was something that we did intentionally. We wanted to focus our efforts on a small number of chains, provide the best experience there first before we started looking at a broader ecosystem. And I'm happy to report that we're kind of finally ready to do that. And so for those of you who have checked the Explorer recently, we have already expanded quite a bit. So the top 5 EVM chains were what we started with. And then we also already have several more chains live. We have launched Linnea, Blast, Polygon, ZK Circuit, and Avalanche, and are planning to launch another batch of chains quite soon. And then upcoming is some really awesome new ecosystems that we're very excited about. Things like Ape, Tycho, Scroll, CK Sync, a bunch of other EVM chains, and then we're looking farther afield into like the broader ecosystem of chains. There was a question actually already on the Emma platform, which was Verachain ? Verachain is one of the chains that we're looking at. We're definitely quite interested and excited about that ecosystem. So yeah, the goal here is just try to expand as fast as possible. We've basically added technical support for 8 chains in the last 2 weeks. We've started to really nail down this process, so we know how to do it very effectively. And this puts us in a position where we can go, like we want to get to the point where we can go and add support for any ecosystem as quickly as possible, as soon as we see that there is an opportunity there for intent protocols. Cool. And then as part of that, so we did start to kind of tease this in kind of our roadmap, and then we've also started to talk a little bit about it internal to the DAO. But Everclear is coming to Solana. This will be the first time that Everclear as a protocol, and in general, even before that Connects, is interacting with a non-EVM ecosystem. We're working really closely internally, as well as with like external folks to figure out the best way to get to Solana as quickly as possible. But we see this huge opportunity in working with like SVM chains, not just Solana, but other kind of SVM like rollups and L2s as well. And so this is something that is still like in the works. We'll definitely have more announcements coming for this soon, but super excited to see that, like to announce that we will be there and to start heading in this direction. Awesome. As a next step, I'm going to hand things over to Nadana from the foundation, who is going to talk a little bit about DAO updates.
Hey everyone, nice to see you again this year. So yeah, to quickly go through the DAO updates, just first about the past highlights. I think probably one of the most important is the Security Council upgrade. So the new Security Council actually went live at the beginning of December. What's cool about that is that now we have less signers. We have 7 out of 9, but actually improved security. We have security task force as well, and the Security Council lead. And what we've seen since the beginning of December is that essentially everything the Security Council had to do, they were able to execute a lot faster. And a big shout out to Gonzalo, the lead of Security Council, who's been very helpful. Other than that, this is kind of just a regular update. Delegate calls are always happening on Thursdays monthly. We actually have another one tomorrow where we'll share some updates from the foundation. And then apart from that, some of the recently passed proposals are the governance task force budget extension, Nomial proposal, Lucid proposal, and then also DAO Treasury and Arrakis Vault's migration, kind of related to the migration that we already discussed. And then what's in progress, a few RFCs are the code of conduct. I think that this one is actually ready for a vote, so you'll see that soon. There's also Karma Everclear delegate dashboard that we've already had, so I think this is a sort of an extension proposal. And then there's also community leader incentivization proposal. I think we still expect to see this one posted probably later today, but excited about that. And then what's coming, Karma we already mentioned, but apart from that, there's also governance task force update. I think there's ways to improve the governance task force moving forward, so that should come soon as well. And then another thing that's to come. This is probably going to come from the foundation also, probably later today or tomorrow morning. A grants program Borg proposal. So Borg RFC was kind of discussed extensively already, and it's probably ready for a vote as soon as we define how the grants program that the Borg will essentially execute will look. I think this will be super interesting just because not that many DAOs actually have Borgs, and it's a really good way to actually introduce grants for us. So that would be it in terms of the DAO. And then we also wanted to shout out on the open roles we currently have. Specifically, we're looking for a content marketing manager or a social media manager person to join the team. If anybody has good referrals, please make sure to reach out to me. Then we're also looking for an engineer to kind of work between our core engineering team and integrations, and then also a Rust developer to port Everclear's SPO contract to Solana. So I think with this, we will probably move into the Q&A. We posted the link in the chat, so excited to see all of your questions there.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks all. I think that looks like there's already a few questions coming in. Definitely keep tossing them in there. Happy to answer whatever you want. Oh, cool. Now there's also a link on the screen if you are looking for it. To start with, I'm just going to start going down the list. Can you add an option to filter chains on the overview explorer? The Sankey diagram overview is getting messy with so many chains. Great question. Yes, we should do that. We
already have one, Arjun. So you can currently filter by chain and by token, and you can choose multiple chains of whatever combination you want.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I didn't realize that affects the Sankey diagram as well.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, if that doesn't fully answer your question, like type some more detail into the chat and then I'll go and fix it up for you.
Cool. So for anybody that's wondering, there's if you open like explorer.everclear.org/overview, which is the like analytics overview page, At the top of the page, there is a chains and tokens toggle. Actually, even I wasn't aware that this filters a Sankey diagram as well, but you can select which chains you want to appear in that diagram. Cool. Does the Dower Foundation have, oh, nice, okay. I see the response. I didn't see the filters at the top. I was trying to click the diagram legend. Nice. Cool. Next question. Does the Dower Foundation have any plan to improve Clear's liquidity on L2s? Does anyone have a specific response? If not, I can jump in.
Go for it, Arshan.
So right now, the priority is on like completing sex migration and getting basically all of the liquidity, like getting Clear up and running again on all of the sexes and the like primary liquidity venues that we've been looking at. In the past, we had sex like Bybit sex liquidity on Arbitrum as well as a Uniswap vault on Arbitrum as through the DAO. That's something that we might explore again in the future, depending on demand. I think right now, I think one thing that we saw was that the amount of trading volume on Arbitrum was actually quite low, too low to really justify maintaining the liquidity there. But that's something that we'll probably put up to the DAO once the rest of the sex migration is complete. Awesome. Next question. Is there any way to obtain OTC Clear? The Ethereum vault isn't deep enough to acquire a position. Come talk to the foundation or talk to the DAO. That's the best way. I think like there is an argument to be made that like the Ethereum vault's position should be deepened. That's also something to perhaps bring up to the DAO. I'm not super familiar with like what the right metrics are to look at there in terms of like depth versus volume. But I think the right people to help answer that would be the Arrakis team and then the specific people on the DAO that have been like working on that proposal. Hope that answers the question. Next question was Verachain, question mark. I covered that already. Is there data on how staking is impacting settlement? I don't expect it to be too meaningful with so many new chains and short time since launch. Andrew, do you want to take that?
With staking impacting settlement? Yeah, so with this one, I would say we haven't seen a huge impact on settlement times with staking. I think at the moment, most people are just excited about staking and receiving an APY at the end of the day. I think as our volumes start to increase, we'll probably start to see people choosing destination chains which have the most votes, because you can imagine that by choosing a destination with most votes, you're obviously going to claim the most volume-based rewards in our tokenomics program. But at the moment, we haven't really seen a huge linkage between the two, but I can imagine it's going to ramp up as volume increases.
Yeah. So I guess TLDR, it is still quite early. The chains that like the early chains that we were supporting with the top 5 chains were just have so many different routes and so many different possible avenues for bridging that like there's not a huge margin there. And that was something that, like I mentioned, we sort of were aware of. And we intentionally approached those chains as a way to kind of like see how effectively we could drop down pricing in Everclear before expanding. I would say now as we like the vote escrow mechanism and the vote bonding mechanism is really like designed to work with like a lot of newer chains where there's perhaps like less available liquidity and less of an organic desire for people to settle. And so I would say maybe going forward is when we would start seeing some of these things, but it is still quite early. Cool. Will we see Everclear at any events soon, Matt?
Yeah, so that's a great one. We, as usual, will be at most major Ethereum events this year with ETH Denver just right around the corner. Also, happy to report that throughout the year, we plan to continue hosting Abstract Summit. I know a lot of you that joined us at DevCon and Token 2049 really enjoyed that event. So we will be bringing that back throughout the year. But if you're interested in meeting up with the team, discussing Everclear or otherwise, a number of us will be at ETH Denver. I think we arrive like the 24th or 25th and stay through till the end of the event. So make sure to give us a shout. We'll be at the Searcher.wtf event as well as a number of others giving talks and sitting on panels. So we'll be around. And probably as soon as next week, we will announce all of the locations that we will be at least for ETH Denver. So yeah, keep an eye out for that as well. If you're interested in following along with the Abstract Summit series, we are expanding that into a broader community with like research and things of that nature. And you can check out all the updates either on Twitter or at abstractsummit.com. Let's see. There's another one here. Are there any new integrations or partnerships on the way? Maybe Andrew or Arjun, can one of you speak to that?
There's a few coming up. I don't think there's any we can mention right now, so you'll have to watch this space. But yes, definitely more integrations and partnerships coming.
Yeah, we closed a couple of deals recently that we're very excited about, that are already kind of starting to be live in the protocol, which is really cool to see.
Awesome, thanks. Maybe I'll jump to the next one here. I might have missed it, but how does Everclear mitigate fragmentation and slippage risk when solver networks simultaneously rebalance liquidity across blockchains?
Yeah. So like the core problem that we're solving is that at the end of the day, when you use intent-based bridges, you're not solving fragmentation. You're basically just handing over the complexity of dealing with fragmentation from the user to a solver. And a solver is like this institutional actor that has a lot more money, that is okay with potentially like doing more complex things in order to figure this out. But the solvers are also, organizations that need to figure out their own way to rebalance their capital. The Everclear thesis is that these solvers can actually rebalance more effectively if they rebalance together, they basically collaboratively. And so what Everclear does is it allows these solvers to be able to work together to find coincidences of wants. And this is the netting that we've mentioned in our system a couple of times today. So how does Everclear mitigate fragmentation and slippage risk? Fragmentation, ultimately isn't going to go away. There's just like fundamental limitations to the ways in which we have built bridges today that result in fragmentation of liquidity. There are efforts to try to fix these things, but it is something that's inherent to trying to it is an inherent trade-off of trying to scale Ethereum in the way that we have. However, you can reduce the impact of fragmentation using something like Everclear. So Everclear is inherently basically designed to try to reduce how much solvers have to pay in order to overcome fragmentation in the first place, because they're able to net with each other directly. Hope that makes sense.
Awesome, Arjun. Thanks. Maybe this next one could go to Andrew. Is there an update on when we could get Everclear v1.1?
Yes. So v1.1 is coming soon. It's currently undergoing an advanced testing campaign. So pending the results of that and obviously an audit, we'll roll that out ASAP.
Yeah, one nice thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. One nice thing that has kind of happened just as a consequence of taking this iterative approach in the last quarter is that we've been able to get a lot of the benefits of the finalized v1.1 state using smaller upgrades to the protocol along the way. And so things like dropping down, like Andrew's mentioned as part of the mainnet beta, dropping down settlement times, dropping down fees, those were some of the big improvements that we were waiting for as part of v1.1, and we've been able to get some of those outcomes just by working more closely with market makers. Now, of course, doing it the right way, doing it in a way that scales, does require v1.1, and so it is something that we're still heading towards. But it's nice to see that we've been able to kind of decouple the development of v1.1 from some of the benefits that we said v1.1 would have, which was better pricing, better settlement times, and then most importantly, ability to expand to many more chains, which is, as you can see, already happening.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the additional context there, Arjun. Looks like the last question we have as we're looking to wrap up here is, where can I apply to work on Everclear? For that one, you can just go to careers.everclear.org, and you can see all of our open roles there. If you ever have any questions, you can certainly join us on Telegram as well. That's t.me/Everclear community, or on Discord at discord.com/Everclear.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Any other questions before we wrap up? Cool. Would be nice to have the names above the cam so we know who is answering. Our names should be there. Oh, I see. They're not actually in the thing. Interesting.
Yeah, I think they only appear when
There
we're
we go.
talking.
Is
Oh,
that
there we
better?
go.
There.
Nice.
Yeah. Screenshot
Cool.
for context.
Thanks, Al. Yeah.
Amazing, everyone. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us for this community call. We're going to keep going with this series. So if you've enjoyed it, feel free to follow us on X at Everclear.org, where we will announce upcoming community calls and the latest updates. If nothing else, we'll see you guys at ETH Denver. Bye,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
See you later.
Bye, everybody.